Hello, in this video we'll be talking about the ACORNS request for proposal for 2019 and 2020. In this video we'll be going over the different parts of the RFP. In future videos we will do an overview of the application, the work plan, and the evaluation form. So this is the ACORNS RFP front page. I just want to take note of this side panel that you can put in your PDF viewer, which allows you to go to the different sections of this document, this long document. So we'll start at the beginning here. This first page has some important dates. The most important one to note for right now is the application deadline, which is December 6th, 2019. All applications must be received by 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So this first page is just a background of the reason why this funding came about and what some of the goals and approaches of the funding are. Please make sure you read this RFP thoroughly. I know it's a lot of information, and all of the information is there to help support you to be able to apply and implement this project effectively. So here is a background. There is some definitions about policy change, systems change, environmental change, clinical community linkages, and team-based care. These will sort of be buzzwords for this whole project, so I highly recommend that you become familiar with these or read these examples, or perhaps do some of your own research to understand what types of approaches this project is requiring. Furthermore, there are all of the blue links are links to mostly different places within this RFP document. The ACORNS strategies, activities, and outcomes will be really instrumental in your application and understanding which strategies and activities are allowable and what are their intended outcomes, and ensuring that you're designing your proposals and your projects to fall in line with this document. So you can click on this and it will take you to that document, and we'll go over that a little bit more later. So you start with your background. Here we have our project description. Some important things to note here: this is a 5-year project funded by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention through the Good Health and Wellness in Indian Country grant. For this first year, because we have some different or new potential ACORNS grantees that haven't been doing this work previously, we're using year 1 to focus on assessing needs and assets, building your staff and organizational capacity, and engaging your stakeholders. Also developing partnerships and planning for strategy implementation. So for year 1, there is actually quite a bit of your project requirements, which are here, are already outlined for you. So there is not necessarily a huge need to create and develop an entire project. The intent is to use this year 1 as a planning, building your capacity, understanding some of your needs. In order to truly make sustainable change, it does require engaging your stakeholders and really understanding what you're trying to accomplish over the 5 years. So that's why we'll focus on that in year 1. And years 2 through 5 will focus more so on actually implementing some of those identified strategies and moving forward with the needs that you've identified in your community and with the support of your community stakeholders. This table has a list of the high-level project strategies. You'll hear us using that word quite a bit. There are 4 main project strategies. They are related to policy, systems, and environmental change, PSE, to prevent obesity, which focuses on nutrition, breastfeeding, and physical activity. And you'll notice that in some of the intermediate project outcomes. Note that these outcomes are 3 to 5 years. So that's assuming that these would be some of the things that your project would accomplish at the end of the 5-year grant. So noting that these aren't necessarily expected to happen in just 1 year. So obesity is our first one. PSE changes for commercial tobacco use with its associated outcomes that the project is looking for. Third is evidence-informed, culturally adapted clinical community linkages, CCL, to support diabetes, type 2 diabetes prevention, with a high focus on referring and implementing or expanding CDC-recognized type 2 diabetes programs. So making yourself familiar with what that means and what diabetes prevention programs exist in your community. And the final main strategy is clinical community linkages to support heart disease and stroke prevention. So heart disease, stroke prevention, type 2 diabetes prevention, prevention and control of commercial tobacco use, and prevention of obesity are the 4 main project focus areas or strategies of this ACORNS grant. So making sure that these are the focus areas that your proposal addresses. Moving on to eligibility. Different than last year, the eligibility requirements for ACORNS funding has changed. We are doing 3 separate funding tiers. So there's 3 tiers, and the eligibility for tier 1 requires that you be a CRIB member tribal health program that represents 2 or more federally recognized tribes, which means that can be an associate member or a full member tribe, but that your tribal health program has 2 or more federally recognized tribes underneath it. So if you are a tribal health program that only services 1 tribe, you are not eligible for tier 1. Tier 2 is for a CRIB member, full member, or associate member tribal health program that represents at least 1 federally recognized tribe. So if I am a federally or a CRIB tribal health program that services more than 1 tribe, I am eligible to apply for either tier 1 or tier 2. If I only service 1 federally recognized tribe, I am only eligible for tier 2. Tier 3, you just must be a CRIB member tribe. So that can be a full member tribe or an associate member tribe. So if your tribal health program is a part of CRIB and you are one of the tribes serviced by that tribal health program, you are eligible to apply for tier 3. So the project period, applications again are due December 6th. The project period starts January 6th and will end September 14th. So all of the planned activities must be completed between these dates. For available funding, this funding will be renewed annually, depending on available funds. Tier 1, there will be approximately 5 awards with a range between $100,000 to $150,000. Tiers 2 and 3, there will be approximately 10 awards with a range between $25,000 to $30,000. So that means you do not have to actually apply for $100,000. You can apply for less than that, and you can apply for less than $25,000, but on average, the award amounts will be that. And you don't have to apply for the full amount either. You just need to justify in your budget the cost of your program, and the budget need to match. So these are sort of ranges, with the maximum award amount being $150,000 for tier 1, and the maximum award amount for tiers 2 and 3 is $30,000. This is a competitive funding opportunity, so you will be based on the quality of your application, and we'll talk more about some of those grading requirements. So here's how you apply the application guidelines. There are 3 forms and pieces that you will need to submit to apply. One is the application, the second is a work plan, and the third is your evaluation form. We'll have separate videos to go over each of those documents, explaining how to fill those out and how to navigate those forms. Again, all 3 of these forms must be submitted by December 6th at 11:59 p.m. So project requirements, number 7, or section 7. So each tier has certain project requirements that are being asked of by projects, ACORNS project staff. So you will follow your column So for tier 1, all of these are required activities. For tier 2, you are the middle column, and for tier 3, it is the final column. This means that in the work plan that you submit, you must include activities or objectives or tasks to complete these requirements. So some of those are identify and regularly engage a project team, participate in required program meetings, which includes some check-in calls, an annual site visit, the kickoff introduction webinar, and also a kickoff training, which will be held in person at CRIB February 5th and 6th. Our introduction webinar is the 16th of January. These are both required for attendance. Additionally, all applicants will need to, or all recipients, awarded applicants will need to complete a training needs survey and a health communication strategy capacity assessment. These will be developed by CRIB and administered to you, and you will be responsible for returning those results. Furthermore, all 3 must conduct tribal readiness assessment and submit results. CRIB has developed those tribal readiness assessments, and we will provide training on how to complete those, but you will be responsible as a recipient to complete, administer those assessments, and submit those results back. Again, for all 3, you will be required to select and submit strategies and outcomes for years 2 through 5 based on your tribal readiness assessment results. So that being said, year 1 is focused mostly on planning, community engagement, staff capacity training, and understanding and identifying your needs. So based off the results of your tribal readiness assessments, you will select and submit your 2 to 5 year plan for what projects and what objectives or activities you will be working towards for the remainder of the project year. That being said, funding will be reassessed annually and you will need to reapply each year. However, we will attempt to support tribes to continue that work as they are demonstrating that they're staying on track and completing their project objectives and staying within compliance of the grant. So additionally, each tier staff, project staff, are required to complete a certain amount of staff capacity trainings. Tier 1 required to complete 10, Tier 2 required to complete 8, and Tier 3 required to complete 6. Many of these staff capacity trainings will be completed and presented during the in-person ACORNS kickoff meeting, February 5th and 6th. So the ACORNS CRIB staff will be providing opportunities for you to complete those trainings. If they're not completed at the ACORNS kickoff training, they will also be offered online and available for you to complete that way. Next is administer the tribal prepare tool to at least 10% of patient population who have 2 or more chronic conditions and submit results. The prepare tool was completed by NACHC. It addresses or discusses and identifies the social determinants of health. We have updated that to be specific to American Indian and Alaska Native populations, and we'll be giving you training and resources in order to administer that, to understand some of the higher level environmental or systems needs of your community members. As it goes down, they become more specific to each of the tiers. We can continue to discuss those, or if you reach out to project staff individually about some of the required project or some of the project requirements. Additionally, at the end of this RFP, there is the list of what those required trainings are for all staff. And additionally, another link to the strategies, activities, and outcomes. That's at the bottom of this RFP. And again, will be really instrumental in helping you understand which strategies, activities, and outcomes this project should focus on. So on section 8 here, we have deliverables and payments. I won't go through all of these in detail, but there will be 3 payments made, with the first one with 50% and the associated deliverables with each of those payments. So again, please familiarize yourself with this. And if you have any questions, absolutely reach out to ACORN staff to explore those more. How we'll be reviewing these proposals: we will have a committee that will, from CRIB staff, that will review each of the applications, and you'll be judged or graded on the degree to which the proposal meets all RFP requirements, to which it demonstrates a clear need for the project, the demonstration of staff and leadership support to meet project requirements, and the feasibility of achieving project objectives within the estimated schedule and budget. So as you're developing your applications, please ensure that they are in line with this RFP. Also demonstrate that there is a need to address some of these conditions like diabetes, heart disease and stroke, commercial tobacco use, and obesity, that there is a need for a project to address these needs in your community. Again, any project is, it's very hard to be successful if it's only dependent on one staff member. So a strong engagement of multiple people or leadership or different stakeholders or community members will be graded higher if you are able to demonstrate the support that you have of those people to support the project proposal. And then again, the feasibility of achieving project objectives. So there is oftentimes a desire to want to put out a ton of work and try to impress perhaps the reviewers with how much you're going to accomplish, but making sure that you're finding that balance between what is realistic to actually be completed versus what might be biting off more than you can chew, so to speak. So as project staff, we are more interested in people being successful and doing fewer things very well than trying to bite off and do a ton of things not so well. So if you're able to demonstrate clearly that you're able to complete the project objectives or demonstrate a history to be able to complete that level of work, please indicate that. But feasibility will be considered in funding some of these projects. So CRIB is the lead agency for this project. My name is Geneva Sorensen. I am the project coordinator and my contact information is here. I am more than happy to provide assistance as you develop your proposals. If you would like feedback on things, if you have clarifying questions, please reach out to me or any of our team, and we're happy to support you being successful in your application. So how do you apply? Again, these must be emailed to me by 11:59 p.m. on December 6th. Please put proposal for ACORNS 2019-2020 subcontract from the name of your tribe or tribal health program in the subject line. There are some requirements for how long the RFP can be and what some of the formatting requirements are, so please make sure you're taking note of that. In the application, there's some multiple sections. These are all the things that are required, and then on the cover page, and then your project narrative. These are some of the questions or pieces, the problem statement for the application. This is your work plan template. This is on your application, the organizational capacity, and the evaluation methods are on the evaluation form. These also indicate the amount of points associated with each piece of that application so that you're able to maximize how many points that you're getting. Just please note that Tier 1, because it's a larger award, actually has more project requirements, and there are a couple things that are only required by Tier 1 applicants. So please make sure that you're reading again the forms thoroughly and you understand what's being required. We will be providing an in-person live webinar, which will go over these documents again and also provide an opportunity for people to ask questions. That will be held on the 19th, which says Wednesday, but it's actually Tuesday, November 19th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And the join link is here. Another piece of the budget guidelines, this is also going to be part of your application. It's included in the application piece is your budget. So this gives a description of what the budget must require and some of the different sections of that budget. There is a allowable costs worksheet that's associated with this RFP. So please review that for ideas of ways that you can spend your funding, as well as some restrictions to how you may not use funds, and making sure that whatever you propose in your budget and in your application and work plan fall within allowable costs. If you have any questions about that, I recommend that you ask questions of the staff first, so you can ensure that your proposal falls within the requirements. Here's some more explanation about what some of those funding limitations are. And then this final piece is the application attachments. So these are what is included in this RFP below here. We have the work plan template. This is what you'll be using and submitting as part of your application. We have the ACORNS 2019-2020 evaluation form. This is also a required piece of the application. And then the actual application itself, which is below this. The attachments C, D, and E are not things that need to be submitted, but they are resources that will be highly helpful in implementing and developing proposals for this project. That includes the strategies, activities, and outcomes. Attachment D lists the required trainings that you may remember are included here in project requirements. So that's a list of what these trainings are. And then attachment E is some examples of allowable costs and maybe some ideas for ways that you can spend funding. So thank you for listening to this. In the next videos, we'll be going over how to fill out the application, as well as a video about the evaluation form and a video about the work plan. So please reach out if you have any questions about this RFP. We're happy to provide support. Thank you and have a great day.